Good afternoon, Lions.
Good afternoon.
Welcome. Lion Steve, will you lead us in the invocation?
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing us to gather here today as Lions and friends. We pray a special blessing from you for those that cannot be with us. And we pray the blessing on our food today, that it will strengthen our bodies and strengthen our love for you and for each other. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Lion Harold, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Lion Marilyn, will you lead us in song, please?
My country to something sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of thy pilgrims pride, from every mountain side, let freedom ring.
Do this. When you're sitting up there, you get one.
Lion Tamers, do we have any guests this morning? Okay, thank you. And Lion Penny, do we have a sunshine report?
Oh, no report.
Oh, perfect, that's great. No news is good news for that one anyway. All righty, well, we're moving right along here. Let's go on to our happy bucks there, Chill Twisters. Thank you.
Hey, let me wander around here. Find any victims. Lion Karen.
President Sharon. Fellow Lion. I'm happy to say I brought my husband today.
Where?
Yeah, his choice or yours?
That's your other child?
Okay, as for now, the cat. After you guys,
President Chair and fellow Lions and guests, it's another 5 Happy Buck Day, you know, because I'm sitting at the same table, but the treasurer's sign is in front of me, so really good thing. Second Happy Buck, of course, is we had a rather eventful time in Vegas. Saw Kelly Clarkson, what a great time. Sunday, sitting on the tarmac, I was sitting over the engine. My lovely spouse was, of course, up in first class. And as we came around the corner, the engine I was sitting over made sounds that were particularly not engine-like. And a few minutes later, the pilot came on and said, yeah, we're going to circle back to the gate. So we did. And 6.5 hours later, we were in Uber going back over to a friend's house because there weren't any tickets on any flights until Tuesday, thus we missing. But got some nice color. Third Happy Buck started on, I think I mentioned it before, but started on the Wagobi, the back half shot. Down 15 pounds, digging it, and in 3 weeks, I think that's good. Who knows? Yeah, that's good. I'm into one size smaller of pants, which means most of my clown pants I'll be giving away later. Let's see.
What are they, 48-12 petite?
Yeah. with the expandable waist. Yes. Great. Oh, are you interested, sir? Excellent. Fourth Happy Buck is that things are going well at the store. Life is good. We've got one employee out who came down with COVID, unfortunately, after he delivered things to a person who everything is copacetic. We're all testing negative. Fifth happy buck is that this Friday I get to spend some special brother time in the RV headed up to Port Angeles to watch the sprint boat races. And so I bought all kinds of candy and junk food for him to eat over the weekend. And of course, I'll just look at it and have my carrots and things.
Yeah.
I'm the healthy brother.
That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah. Best laugh I've heard all day.
Lions are wandering through here.
Sure. Oh, well, it's, yes, it's unhappy dollar. I won't be helping on the fair this year because my leg hurts. I had an appointment this afternoon with a doctor.
Sorry to hear that. Really? Oh, well, yes, of course. Past district governor of Maryland. President Sharon, fellow Lions and guests. I guess I have a happy buck. I can see. I have eye surgery on one eye and 3 different kinds of drops and all kinds of things. So it drops for the next 6 weeks. That's a long one. So the other dollar is it was a great weekend. I couldn't go anywhere because I had to avoid dust and all these things like baseball tournaments. But we watched on Game Changer, and that was our last seasonal game for our 11 and under team. They have this nemesis club, what do I want to say, crosstown rivalry, and they tried to beat them, but they couldn't seem to. So, but they took second. Good. That's just a regular sweet kind of thing. Nice day.
Thank you, lovely tail twister. And come back, Mike. President Sharon, Lions and guests, I have an extremely happy dollar. No, it's an ambivalent dollar. I filled my gas tank this morning. It was only $20, but that was for the lawnmower. And a little happy dollar. I'm pleased to announce.
Wait for it.
He's died.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Rabbit died.
The rabbit ran away.
Do you need a drink of water?
Yeah.
Need a memory bill.
I'm glad for the fair this week because I just washed my truck. And of course, you know what the fair could do to any vehicle that park out there. Anyway, still looking forward to it.
You don't like the paint job becoming dusty, whatever? I'm sure. Past district governor, Mark Kell.
President Sharon, fellow Lions and guests, the weekly $5 there. Happy dollar number 1, Mark Manzel is now international director. Steve's brother from another mother and a friend of several of us, international director. So good to see that. Next dollar is kind of happy and sad. Right as it stands right now, I have an appointment next week at 1 o'clock. I may or not be able to make the meeting. And the week after that, in search of salt water and sand, I will not be here. And I are heading to the coast. Jump ahead to quote of the week from Mother Teresa. There are 4 very important words in life: love, honesty, truth, and respect. Without these in your life, you have nothing. And since I had a very short list today, I will give you a bonus quote because we're in the midst of politics. This does not apply to George Rader, but George Bernard Shaw said, "He knows nothing and he thinks he knows everything." That clearly points to a political career.
I'm back.
That's a flash George.
Past district governor of Maryland.
And he had to mention George prior to that.
President Sharon, fellow Lions and guests, Mark, you reminded me, not only did Mark Manzel, the international director, the new 3rd International Vice President, Tony Benbow, is from Australia, and he was my trainer when I was a district governor, and I heartily approve of his service. So that's pretty exciting for us, Longview Pioneer Lions, knowing some of the upper echelon leadership. I think it's really cool.
Swinging around here, past President Cindy Sessions.
President Sharon, fellow Lions and guests, first I have a question, Dollar. Has anybody ever grown a tomatillo plant? I've got one in my garden. Usually they're the size of a tomato plant, right? Mine is over 5 feet tall. I don't know what happened. It's hitting the top of the cage and it's in.
What's the leaves look like?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll be over in,
Yeah, John,
Check that one out.
John will fill you in.
That's bad. But I have a happy dollar. I am now picking tomatoes out of the garden, and so we're enjoying that fresh produce. And I did a little experiment because I'm bored and I'm kind of getting into this gardening thing. I bought a head of living lettuce and I took the roots and I just put them in the ground and patted them dry with the same with tops of green onions. And guess what? I got little green things growing up out of the dirt. So that was cool. So,
John will be over after the meeting.
You really want to check out those leaves.
okay, my great bird.
President Sharon, fellow Lions guests, happy buck today. My nose is getting better, I can still breathe.
Who told you that?
Sure looks like it. Well,
I didn't say it looked better, I said it's getting better.
feeling better.
Anyway, because I'm not supposed to live too doggone much, I'm really not volunteering for my stuff. To me, I just keep going.
Yep.
There you go.
Whatever speed you can go.
That's District Governor. Mike.
President Sharon, fellow Lions and guests. I got a happy buck in the last week. I've spoken to Ron Stoppler at least 10 times. Wow. 5 in one day. He sounds great. He, you know, if you can get him on the phone, talk to him. I enjoyed every time he called. You know, some of them were 5 minutes apart, but I still enjoyed them all.
Thank you for the update. Okay, PUCC held on the jump.
President Sharon, fellow Lions and guests. You know, the first is kind of a mixed dollar because when I heard something happen at the Johnson house, I thought it was the horse that broke its ankle. And I said, oh my God, they shoot them when they do that. Then they said it was Rick, and I was wondering, did anybody try to shoot you, Rick? No, okay. Happy to see you.
Not yet.
Not yet. Karen, are you getting
Keep
close?
pushing, Karen.
Getting close to shooting the horse with the dead ankle. Oh no, he loves you too much.
Yeah.
Happy dollar, going, I think I'm going with my brother, and I hope he's sober while he's driving.
Oh.
Just kidding, just kidding.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, you can drive. Yeah. You know, Mark, since you said that joke didn't apply to George, I figured you made it apply to me. I'll remember that.
No, you won't.
No, I won't. No, that's the good news.
Yeah.
I owe somebody a buck or two here. Raise your hand if you think it's you. Oh my goodness. Look at all that. Careful. I've only got 2, so. And finally, it is good to have Vice President Rick above ground.
Isn't that nice? That was
Yeah.
nice of you, Rick. Yeah.
You know, I've only known him 40-some years, maybe 45, something like that, when I first came to town. And so I went over to see him. This is how he treated me. He told the dog to continue barking until I leave. And he did.
Yep. She didn't like you either, did she?
No.
Well, you know, dogs are a good judge of character. That's right.
That's what they say.
It doesn't help you, Jeff. Yeah. Not listen.
Coming up to the front table, for speaking
like to thank everybody, including my wife, for all the work that she's had to put in on this ankle. And, anyway, she's not done yet. Yeah. Get prepared, Sorry, Ken.
The thing is nagging him to keep that blanky boot on, so if he does putting weight on that leg, let him have it.
Isn't his leg
I did
supposed
that weeks ago.
He busted his other leg.
Be elevated?
Yeah, isn't it supposed to be elevated above
It
your
is.
heart?
It is right now.
Where is your heart located?
Oh, that was great. When she speaks, she sings.
Miss Sessions, my toilet works really well. After I broke my ankle, I called Sessions and I tried to get a hold of Cindy. And I finally got a hold of Jim, which he came over and replaced the toilet, which was a good thing. Now it's only 2 inches taller. Steve, you can't use it.
Too high?
It's too high now. Yeah, you can't get up on it.
He left his legs hanging.
And then I'd like to also thank Steve for loaning me his cart, his 3-wheel knee rover. And it works really well for scooting around the house. The wife can't find me.
Yeah. You can move a lot faster. Right, anybody over yet?
Was that meant for you or her?
Did I miss anyone? No? What? Okay. Like, Sharon, I think we're done.
Thank you, Tail Twisters. We're going to move right along, and I'm going to hand this over to our program chair, Lion Larry.
Thank you, Sharon. Fellow Lions, yes. I'll introduce our guest today now. She's going to be speaking to you from the Department of Social and Health Services relating to her job there. And she was referred to me by her contact with Booster. So she's going to, no, it's the first time she realized that the department does some of the work that she does. So she's going to share that job with us a little bit. Some of us might need it. We're all getting to that point in our lives. So.
Super loud, but I'll use this anyway.
Yeah,
Like
we're
super,
recording.
super loud. Okay. Hi, good afternoon. First of all, you heckle each other, so I don't have a prayer of not getting heckled. So I'm going to do my best to do that. And I too was at the Kelly Clarkson concert last week, and so my way home was via an 18-hour trip in the car, rerouted twice because of fires around us. So all of our support goes out to the firefighters and the families affected. My name is Samantha Hyder, and I'm with the Department of Social and Health Services. Part of Department of Social and Health Services includes an agency called Adult Protective Services. And Adult Protective Services has two-prong approach out in our community. The first is to investigate allegations of abuse, abandonment, neglect, and exploitation concerning vulnerable adults. And the second is when we go in and we meet those vulnerable adults, we go through a list of community resources and things within the department where we can offer protective services to individuals to help remediate whatever it is they may be experiencing. So unlike Children's Protective Services, when you think we're going to go into the house, we're going to do things, or we're going to remove a vulnerable adult from their home, that is not something Adult Protective Services does. Our goal is to preserve someone in the environment they choose to remain in and offer them things to help them safely stay there. So we get our authority from RCW 7434. It tells us who a vulnerable adult is. And when we think of vulnerable adults out there in the community, We think of the folks who need support. However, RCW 7434 is very specific regarding who it considers a vulnerable adult in the state of Washington. Now, does it cover every vulnerable adult? Absolutely not. Our scope has to be the size it is because we have to stay within what the law does. So we know that there are vulnerable adults out there that do not fall within our scope, particularly those over the age of 18 and under the age of 60 who experience mental health issues. And so sometimes we don't know who a vulnerable adult is, and we'll screen in to go out and knock on their door and provide a visit so that we can offer protective services. Again, not because we're going to do an investigation, but because there's someone out there in our community who may need our help. And so we can still offer referrals, we can still offer our information. What we can't do is conduct the investigation. So there are two major birthdays that are important for Adult Protective Services. The first is the 18th birthday, and the second is the 60th birthday. So I'm going to talk about this right-hand part of the slide first. If anyone in the state of Washington is over the age of 18 and they have a court-appointed guardian or conservator, they are considered vulnerable in the state of Washington. If they are over the age of 18 and they experience a developmental disability, so these are things like intellectual disability, autism, cerebral palsy, traumatic brain injury, as long as they are over the age of 18 and fit that category, Adult Protective Services can be involved. If they're over the age of 18 and live in a DSHS licensed facility, so those are things like adult family homes, assisted living, soldiers' homes, skilled nursing facilities. If they're at home and over the age of 18 and receiving home health services from a hospice or home care agency, they are considered a vulnerable adult. This is one of our categories where folks go in and out of vulnerable adult status. So for example, I am over the age of 18. I have had home health services twice in my life because of surgeries. So for those 6 weeks that I was receiving home health services, I was considered a vulnerable adult. One of those happened to be the day I got hired by APS. If I receive services from an individual provider, so these are folks who have gone to DSHS and said, my activities of daily living, bathing, dressing, showering, shopping, transportation, hygiene, all of those things, I can't do them independently any longer, and I need the department's assistance. They've gone through an assessment, they've been determined eligible for hours, and those hours are provided by an individual provider. If that's someone's situation and they are over the age of 18, Adult Protective Services has authority to consider them a vulnerable adult. And then the last category is very small. It's someone who remains in their home and they self-direct their care. These are situations where someone has a fairly extensive medical need that they physically can't care for themselves. So injections, bowel regimes. Generally, these are our folks that experience Lou Gehrig's disease or cerebral palsy. They remain completely cognitively intact, and they can train someone else to do the task they need that's a medical task. So in my entire career with APS, which began back in 1998, I've only met 3 of these folks. So that's how small this population is. Now we're going to hop over to the left-hand side of the screen, and we're going to talk about people who are over the age of 60. They get all these options on the right and one more. If they are over the age of 60 and they experience a functional, physical, or mental inability to care for themselves, we consider them a vulnerable adult in the state of Washington. So if one person is out there helping them with banking, or one person is out there helping them with grocery shopping, they're a vulnerable adult here in Washington, and we can get involved. So you can see that gap is between 18 and birthday number 60, where we can't put that mental, functional, or physical inability in place. They gotta slide in over here. So that's who we get involved with. This is the involvement. So if you look at 2005, way over there, 20 years ago, Adult Protective Services processed about 13,000 referrals for investigation. In 2024, our number was over 80,000. For you mathematicians in the audience, that's 478% growth in 20 years. 2 reasons. 1, because of communities and people knowing about Adult Protective Services and knowing when to make the call. So part of it is education. 2 is part of the aging population, right? And 3 is because we have a situation here in Washington where what we call the silver tsunami is happening. And so we have more folks that are educated about what their government dollars are doing for them, more educated about how to get services, and more educated about what their rights are as a citizen. I have a right to be free of these things. And they themselves are making the call to Adult Protective Services. These are the things we investigate. So on the left-hand side, we'll start with neglect and self-neglect. Neglect is a caregiver or someone in charge of providing something to someone. And self-neglect is I'm in charge of myself, right? And these can look like folks who don't have a clean home. They don't have the ability to take a bath, either someone to help them or to do it themselves. These are folks who don't have medication because they have lack of insurance to get it. They have lack of willingness to take it. They have lack of funds to afford it. So there's many reasons why someone could fit into a neglect, self-neglect category. Second category is financial exploitation. Number 1 allegation that Adult Protective Services investigates currently is financial exploitation. It is someone getting themselves somehow in possession, in charge of, or distribution of someone else's resources or finances. So those scam calls that we all get, those situations where a loved one is providing care and decides to help themselves to the bank account, those situations where someone opens a credit card in someone's name and they don't even know anything about it, where someone makes a call, it's called the grandma scam. Hi, grandma, I need help. And before we know it, grandma or grandpa is sending off a $20 card, and then a $50 card, and then a $500 card, and then a $1,000 card. And they're making those transfers to unknown individuals. Physical abuse, these are the ones that have some visual effect, right? There's some bruises, there's some broken bones, there's some injuries, there's something that we can tangibly take a picture of, or that we can see for our own eyes, or that someone can attest to have seen before we showed up. Mental abuse, these are all the words that we say to each other that aren't nice. So if we yell at each other, and that's just how our life has been. I knew it! I made it all the way to now. Rory got a heckle.
Well,
I think that's pretty good. I'm like 4 slides in, right?
we're just saying, it's most of us here. Come on.
It is. It is. And when does it cross the line? So if we make fun of each other and we say, my grandparents used to say all the time, oh, my old lady. And she'd yell at him that he couldn't hear. And then he'd yell back, thank God. And so when does it cross the line? It crosses the line when one person becomes vulnerable and can't banter back, right? And those feelings start coming in where, yeah, I'm not so smart anymore. Yeah, my hearing really is bad. I can't hear anymore. Yeah, maybe my driving is pretty awful. But when it crosses the line, that's when Adult Protective Services gets called.
I'm sorry,
So it doesn't necessarily have to be cursing, yelling, swearing, derogatory terms, name calling. It can be saying something to someone and making them feel bad. And this is based on the vulnerable adult's experience, right? What was said to you, how did you feel? This is a situation where I'm not going to let you see your grandchildren until you X, Y, Z. So we often see mental abuse go along with all the rest of these, right? I'm not going to let you see your grandchildren until you sign over $20,000 or give me the keys to your car. I'm not going to come around you unless you take your medications.
You can make it work.
Sorry, that's my
You can make
mom.
it work.
Hold my daughter for 20 grand, but
Yeah.
And then sexual abuse is all the awful things you think of, right? I'm not going to go into details. Slide is pretty clear. The only thing I do want to mention about sexual abuse is, unlike law enforcement, ours includes sexual conduct. So if someone is saying a off-color joke to a vulnerable adult, and the vulnerable adult doesn't like the joke, and it's of sexual connotation, we're landing on this slide, and we're also landing on mental abuse. So you can see how mental abuse plays into a lot of these different allegations. In our community, we have two types of reporters. Well, we have three, actually. One, somebody can self-report to Adult Protective Services. But most of the time, we get told about situations because of mandatory reporters. So a mandatory reporter is someone under RCW 7434 that is part of a paid position or a volunteer position, falls under the category that should they become aware of any circumstances of abuse or neglect or exploitation of a vulnerable adult, they are required to report. And there are consequences for not making that report. So these are typically your doctors, your teachers, your nurses, your individual providers, those folks whose paycheck somehow is funded by governmental dollars, whether that's a grant or whether that's taxpayer dollars. So these are the folks who are required to file a report to us, and the key to our law is immediately. So immediately means you don't have to call when you're sitting in the car and it's running and you're going down the freeway. It means as quickly as you possibly can, safely. These are all the types of mandatory reporters here in Washington. We are one of the few states that mandates Christian Science practitioners make the report. Who's missing? Lawyers. Lawyers aren't up there. Banking institutions. They're not up there. Number one allegation, financial exploitation. And banks aren't required to make reports.
Yeah, but thanks quite a bit. As a
Oh my gosh, they do.
purpose.
They do. They report all the time.
Because Bank of America reports that it's required from the employees.
Yep. But those are internal policies and not state law. Yeah.
Were pastors on there? I was just curious. I didn't read it fast enough.
Nope,
They don't have to report.
they do not. Christian Science practitioners as close as we get.
But there are many pastors that do report.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What they will often do is sit beside someone, a parishioner, and help them make the report themselves. So if somebody makes a report to Adult Protective Services, there are some things that we try to guarantee. The first is that your identity is going to be kept confidential. There are very few circumstances under which we will release the name of a reporter. And that's in a court proceedings, and that is when it's been ordered by a judge. And again, in a career of over 30 years with Adult Protective Services, only one time has a judge ordered me to release the name of a reporter. And it was actually because we had done such a good job of concealing the name of the reporter that the people didn't believe that it was a mandatory reporter who actually made the report. So we did it to preserve his job. So it's that hard to get information out of us. We often refer to the Department of Health. Most of those folks that could be perpetrators of abuse, neglect, abandonment, or exploitation have a license. So if there's a healthcare provider out there and they're financially exploiting a vulnerable adult, you can bet we're referring to the Department of Health to see if they'll pull their license. If they're an RN, an LPN, a CNA, a med tech, a veterinarian assistant, there are thousands of licenses that the Department of Health issues. And so we're going to try and get those licenses pulled. And then Medicaid Fraud Control Division. Again, they don't pick up many because there's very few of them. But if we have a situation where we've done all the legwork and referred it on to them and kind of placed it nicely in their lap, they will pull the license as well. So when do you report? As a permissive reporter, you have no mandatory obligation to notify the department. But you see folks and you know things. And if it makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, or if it just doesn't sit right with your soul, or you're ruminating over it, and you don't have any proof, it just didn't feel good, make a report to Adult Protective Services. We'll sort it out. What's the worst that's going to happen is we're going to take a record and maybe we're going to go knock on someone's door and offer them resources in the community to make their life look different in the future. They can choose to accept it. They can choose not to let us in, but at least they know that someone cared. And that's often how we protect the confidentiality of a reporter. Doesn't really matter what they told us. Someone cared enough to send me, the government, to your door to be a library of everything that's out there to offer help. Our intake line is live Monday through Friday with the exception of holidays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you call during that time, you may get a voicemail, but for the most part, you're going to get somebody to answer the phone. Anytime after that, you're going to get a voicemail. We ask you to leave a message. But what we'd really rather you do is report online. So that second line there where it's dhs.wa.gov / report adult abuse. Nobody's going to remember that, I promise. Go into Google and type Washington Adult Protective Services reporting. It's the first link that pops up. It's going to take you right to there. The beauty of online reporting is your own words make it into our intake report. So there's no chance we've played the telephone game. She said, I thought I heard, he said, he reported. Your actual words make it in. The other is that you're going to get a number. And that number lets you know you made the report. And if you want to call and check on it, there's 3 things I can tell you. We either screened it in, we screened it out, or we screened it in and we're investigating. And sometimes just knowing that can give you, a person who had those concerns, peace of mind in knowing you've handed it off, we're doing what we can. All these other folks, we'll make those referrals for you. You don't have to do it. If you want to, that'd be great. But if not, part of our intake is that we're going to make the necessary referrals, whether that's to law enforcement, whether that's to the Department of Health. If there are also children in the home, we're going to refer to Children's Protective Services. That's our online. I'm going to say it again. If you want to report online 24 hours a day. Go straight into an intake. Get sent out to the field. So here's our process. A report becomes an intake. An intake may or may not become an investigation. An investigation always has an outcome, and an outcome may or may not involve due process. So intakes, they get all the nuts and bolts for us. They figure out the address, the phone number. If all you know is you saw what I call an LOL, little old lady, get into a car, and she got hit by someone, and all you have is a license plate, and it was a red car, and it was a Target, I promise you, I can figure out who it is. We'll take your information online, we'll take it by phone, we'll take it by fax, we'll take it by walk-in, we'll take it by email, we'll take it by written reports. I'm going to leave a stack of my business cards. If you don't remember any of this after we leave, call me. I'll take an intake report. Every Every single one of those intakes or reports is then screened for two things. One, is it a vulnerable adult that the state of Washington has jurisdiction over? If they are, or we don't know, we'll move on to the next step. Is there an allegation that Adult Protective Services can report, can investigate? We don't investigate what might happen. Unfortunately, something has to have happened, or suspicion that it happened is enough. So if we don't know we have a vulnerable adult, but we're sure we have an allegation, we're screening it out, we're knocking anyway. Better to have knocked on a door and get turned away than have missed someone who needed a knock. Those investigations involve an unannounced, unscheduled visit to the vulnerable adult. And we are so determined, we're going to try it 3 times. And if after 3 times it doesn't work, we're going to mail them a letter. And after the letter doesn't work, we're still going to staff it and figure out what we do from there. An investigation means we talk to the victim. We talk to witnesses. We gather documents, those bank records, medical records, anything that we can get our hands on. And then we talk to the alleged perpetrator. We offer protective services. If we're going to go forward and a victim hasn't accepted protective services and we're going to go forward with due process for an alleged perpetrator, the department's going to take action. We're going to come back to the victim. We're going to say, you know, I know you really didn't want the protection order when I was out here this time, but they're going to get a letter. And it's probably going to upset them. Are you sure you don't want to move? Are you sure you don't want that protection order? We're going to offer them one more time. And then we make a finding. Unlike law enforcement, which is a higher standard, our standard is more likely than not. 51% says it happened, we're going to substantiate. Why? Because we're going to err on the side of vulnerable adults. Less than 50%, unsubstantiated or inconclusive. Inconclusive comes into play when there's something that we need, something that we want, somebody we want to talk to, and we can't get it. Right? I wrote to the bank 4 times and they don't want to send the bank records. So I can't say it happened, and I can't say it didn't happen. So I'm going to go inconclusive. Unsubstantiated means that more likely than not, the facts that we were able to put together really don't line up with what we were asked to investigate according to the law. Does it still mean that something might be nefarious happening out there? Yes. So just because something has been reported to Adult Protective Services once, doesn't mean it can't be reported again. Report and report and report. Because I can tell you that those banks get tired of getting letters from me. And eventually they will hand over the records. Because why? Liability. Right? They're the ones who are having to repay this person for having these thefts out of their account. And they don't want to pay the person anymore. So they'll finally release records to us. If we substantiate, we then send a letter to the alleged perpetrator with their due process rights. It gets reviewed, it becomes a department finding. There's a letter, they have 30 days to respond. It gets sent to them any way we can, including certified. They have 30 days to respond and either present new evidence or ask for a hearing. And then it goes through the judicial process all the way up to potentially the Supreme Court in the state of Washington. Once the finding is final, a person's name gets put on the background registry. That's forever, currently. So if you stole $5 and I can prove it, your name goes on a registry. If you stole $5 million and I can prove it, your name goes on a registry. The consequences are the exact same, and there's no way to come off this. How does it affect alleged perpetrators? They no longer have the ability to pass a background check when it comes to working with vulnerable adults or children in the state of Washington. So you might not care that you took $5 for grandma without her permission, and you might not care that to go through this process, but when you're 35 years old and you want to take your kid on a field trip and you don't pass the background check, you care then, and there's no way to get your name off. Question?
Yeah, is there an age limit to the perpetrator to be on that list? Like, say the perpetrator's like 15, does that matter?
It does. It does. So you have to be over the age of 18 to go on the list, But we do keep an underage list of alleged perpetrators as well. We just don't forward them to the background check unit. Talked a little bit about this. What we can't do, we can't move people out of their home against their will. I can be convincing, I can be charming, I can smile, I can bring all my friends to the table, I can talk to family, but I cannot make a vulnerable adult move. I also can't trick them into moving. We can't act as a guardianship service. So if we do a petition for guardianship because the person can't make their own decisions, or the conservatorship and they can't protect their own resources, assets, or finances, we can do a petition to the court, but we will never assume the role of guardianship or conservator. And we don't act as emergency response. So if something needs immediate response and we're not available, 911. If we are available, sometimes we call 911 and say somebody needs to get out to the house now. We need to get an alleged perpetrator out there because we can get law enforcement to do that. And we can't investigate an allegation where there isn't a vulnerable adult. The minute we find out they don't meet our criteria, we have to stop. And then here are some important links. If you want to grab a snapshot of that, this is the last slide. But again, if you don't remember how to contact Adult Protective Services, just Google Washington State Adult Protective Services. I promise you, we're the first one that popped up. We've used every search engine out there to make sure it happens, and it does. That's my time. Questions?
Thank you for your presentation. It's very thorough. I don't think we have questions. You brought back a memory, though, of my experience. I shared ownership at a hair salon, and a client of one of my coworkers received, I'll start over. She had a grandson that she totally trusted, and the circumstances came where I think she had some health issues, and he manipulated the situation. I believe he had control of her finances. And he manipulated it and placed her in a home, like a 6-bed home, and tried to get her to be locked down. In the process, he went to her home and changed the locks and tried to take over everything. She had enough wits about her in the process of several weeks, and I know that she called the hairdresser and said, something's not right here. But she actually called a taxi and had asked to go home and found that her house was locked. Somehow, I don't know who she called, maybe the police, it started there. But she was able to get back into her home, and obviously this gentleman was in a lot of hot water. So it just reminds me of what you just said. All these things that we can help someone that is an innocent bystander. Thank you.
More likely than not, the alleged perpetrator in most cases is a close family friend or relative. It's not the stranger.
Just one more.
Okay, just one more. How do you respond to the fact that your system sounds like a harsh system, especially if somebody goes through the steps and then you find out that it was all false? Because I don't know, I've been in real estate 45 years and I heard my share of lies. Yes, because as you're going through the steps you have to go, it feels like, I don't know, just stop all right. And when I was in the Senate, that's what somebody told me the SHS was, just so you know that. And I had an outlet, as I told you earlier, to solve that problem.
So the due process is 4 different levels of appeals, only 2 of which can be initiated by the department. The last 2 are only initiated by the named alleged perpetrator. So it goes completely outside of DSHS into the court system for the court to decide if it meets merit. So the first 2 levels are within DSHS, and then outside of that, it goes into the court system.
Thank you so much, Samantha. We have a little gift here for you.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna leave business cards too.
Oh, okay. We have this mug here for you. It's one of our Longview Pioneer mugs, and just a little gift to say thank you. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, everyone. I feel like I'm close to a trifecta because I have now done presentations to eagles, elks, moose, and the lion. So there's another organization out there. I need another animal.
Why don't you join us and we'll see all the animals?
Okay, we are gonna move on to some announcements. Bob, do you have any?
Hey, Bob? Hey, Bob.
Yeah, the fair starts tomorrow. Yeah. Yes, I haven't looked at the sign-up sheet, but I'm sure there's, should be plenty of holes in the sign-up sheet. I'm getting everything ready that I can get ready. I just rely on you guys to fill in the holes. Other than that, anything else? I do need parking passes. I've got some cards that we can give to parking the Rotary. Basically, we're just saying the club will pay the $10.
So basically, if you're signed up to work anytime during the fair, see Bob for a parking pass. Yeah, it's $10 now.
The bus is free.
No, it is. That's right. It was posted on Facebook. I did see that. Okay.
Just so everybody's aware, the club picks up the cost of that parking. We'll make a donation to the Rotary as a part of making it easier for people to get into the fair. The fair is free, of course, and that parking at $10 a piece. If you worked all 5 days, that's easy math. How was it?
$12.70.
And we know where he went to school.
Stephanie, can I get a form for sending something to you? Yeah.
Marilyn?
Just quickly, thank you, Sharon. Fellow Lions, I just wanted to say thank you to the board for approving $500 ad at the Kelso Babe Ruth Regional Tournament. I followed it a lot and I posted on Facebook, and Kelso kind of had a bad thing happen to them. There was a triple tie or something, and they didn't get to win their tournament, so they won't be going any further. But we also received lots of coverage announcements during the baseball season while they were playing. So I think our $500 ad really covered a lot for us. We got our name out there. Thanks, Lions.
Cindy Sessions?
President Sharon, fellow Lions, I guess. I was asked by Walt Marie's daughter to ask for a show of hands for their services this Sunday at 1 o'clock at the Longview Kelso Elks. So can I have a show of hands of all those that are attending and wearing a yellow jacket? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Yellow. Oh, Woodruff.
Go ahead.
You would.
Yes. President Sharon, fellow Lions and guests, I have a short awards meeting over here after this meeting.
You hear that, Steve?
Somewhere over there, because it's abbreviated.
How smart you guys need to go to the meeting?
Well, you have to have long
I guess I'm too tall. I won't be attending. Mary?
Did you have something to say?
No? Okay.
Mary?
Hello, this is Carol over here. I have some more used items from people who have donated them to me. I also have a sign-up sheet here. If there's something you wish to have that I don't have in inventory, right now, if it's in stock, the list is the correct price. However, if I have to order some stuff that's
gonna go up. Probably not a lot, but it's gonna go up. But if I can get enough to make a discount on the quantity, that would help a great deal. So anyway, I'll be over here.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Okay, and real quick, our next Thursday night meeting is going to be August 21st at Ashtown Brewing at 6 p.m. Our next board meeting is going to be August 14th at 8 a.m. at Life Mortgaged. Everybody is free to attend the board meeting if you so wish. I think that is everything for today. Does anybody else have anything?
Once, twice sold.
Huh?
Tickets. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Win money.
Oh, tickets.
Yeah, the tickets.
Parking pass.
No, I know, I just wasn't sure, Spencer, if you were standing there for a reason, so.
No, I just don't want to say.
Stay either.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, blue tickets. Hold on.
There you go.
Make sure I get it right. Thank you. What's the next one? Yeah? 6, 2. Cindy. Okay, and while they're getting the cards out for her, let's go on to your red ticket. We have 359, 0, 4, 3. And where would you like it to go, Ann? Diabetes, all right, thank you. Okay, and Darlene?
President Sharon Caroline, yes, the dessert for today go to Mike Parker and George Rader.
All right. Okay, I believe that is everything. Everybody have a really good week. If you have not signed up, please sign up to work at the at the rodeo this week. Have a great week, and we'll see you next. Oh, wait, what was it? Cindy drew the 5 of spades.